Hey, Terry here, and I'm talking today about the three keys for trusting again after divorce. So, what are the ways that we can learn to trust again when divorce has left you broken, abandoned, like feeling unworthy, feeling like, how can I ever trust anyone again? Especially, and I'm going to talk a little bit about if you've been in a toxic relationship, that also kind of adds a layer to that as well. So, the first thing in trusting again is to really recognize that the trust really has nothing to do with anyone else. It's really about your inability to trust yourself. Okay. And there's a couple of reasons why that is. It may be that you don't trust yourself in that you missed all the red flags and there's so much doubt within yourself and you are struggling with second guessing yourself, so you really don't trust yourself to be capable in finding a healthy relationship again. And that can be the key to overcoming that. And then secondly is you may not trust because you don't really think that you can handle the pain of the loss again. So many people, divorce leaves them so broken and so devastated, and many people just like are struggling to overcome all the layers and layers of emotions and pain and bitterness and anger and grief and so much that goes into the loss that we feel, betrayal, the loss that we go through with divorce. It's understandable that you might not want to go through that again. But what we do is we project that onto someone else. Like, I can't trust men, all men are dogs or whatever. But the truth is, we are struggling with our own heartache and with our own feelings. And so it's hard to put yourself back out there. It is so hard. So let's talk about, how do you trust again? So, what I do in my programs is very, very different than, say, like a traditional talk therapy, because I teach my clients conscious, intentional exercises to heal that unworthiness within them, to get back their self esteem. We develop a self care plan and a plan to set healthy boundaries, and we identify those parts of you where you have those fluid boundaries, where you learn not to trust yourself. And again, your inability to trust yourself may be accurate because you do have fluid boundaries, because you are a people pleaser, because you came out of a toxic relationship, or you have a pattern of toxic relationships. And what happens in those relationships is you put their needs above yours. You start thinking and second guessing, like, what do they want? You supplement your own wants, your own desires, your own needs for the other person's wants and needs and desires, because you're trying to keep peace, right? So if you came out of toxic relationship, or in my experience, people who've had multiple toxic relationships, particularly after divorce, you struggle because you have not developed that intuition of yourself, and you haven't learned and identified your own needs, wants, desires, your own self-worth, who you are, um, because that gets supplemented by the other person's needs, wants, and desires. Because you're so anxious to keep the peace in the relationship, you lose yourself. So it's very important that you learn who you are, what your joys are, what your hobbies are, what your boundaries are. And that's like a big part of what I do in my programs, is I teach you how to really create boundaries, because the probably you never really had true authentic boundaries in the first place. So we have to rediscover what these new boundaries are in your new chapter, and how to communicate those boundaries in a way that feels good for you and good for other people. And the good news is, one of the myths that people think like having boundaries is mean. It's actually not. Having boundaries actually gives you a sense of safety. And here's the kicker: it gives people around you a sense of safety because they feel secure in your presence because they know where they stand with you. And so having boundaries is actually really truly blessing, and it makes people feel really great around you. So that's one of the things I love teaching people is when they stand in their power, people actually feel better around them. So we are going to be talking about that. If you're looking for more videos and more information, definitely check out my YouTube link. I'll post that as well. But we are going to be doing a workshop next week. So I'd love to have you in person so that you can ask questions, so that I can coach you on the spot, so that we can really dig into this topic because I know it's so important in this new chapter, right? It's a new year. COVID is behind us. We're ready to get out in the world. So let's go. Let's go. Let's rock this. Okay. So join me next week. I cannot wait to see you in person. I want to be with you live together. And we're really going to, you can ask questions and we're really going to dive into this how to trust again. So if you have any questions, reach out to me. Otherwise, I cannot wait to see you live next week at our workshop. All right. All right. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.